editing, and how that has been very successfully being done all around the world. And it provides a very, very impartial view. I think when I took up the book, I saw that it was not just easy to read for somebody who's not associated with technology, but it might absolutely intrigue somebody who is a little bit associated with technology. So it kind of covers the interest of a lot of readers there. So uh, and I believe that if we would had in our childhood times books like this in our curriculum, I think we would have learned science and probably some other learning domains much better, and we could have learned how they integrate very well. And not they are not standalone sciences, and how they integrate very well. And I remember I was talking to my son, and I read him a part of the art is the math is art part, and he loved it. And I thought I'll bring that out, that it is even easy to comprehend for kids who are a little curious. So there are various subsections, they cover history, biographies, human story, and technology, obviously. So it's a fantastic book. Grab it, whenever you want to take it after this, or if you have not read it yet. So it's really my pleasure to welcome you, Atul, for our session today evening.
Pleasure is all mine, Girish, and thank you. Thank you for such a generous introduction. No, I just want everyone to know on this forum today that I'm so excited to be part of this platform. I have been meaning to come here for a very long time now, so I'm glad that we are doing it today.
Oh, great to hear that, and so glad to have you with us today. Um, so Atul, is it okay if we keep it more of a
Please,
conversation style,
please
or if you prefer a comment about the book first, and then we get into a conversation, whatever is
look,
convenient?
we could do either way, but I think it's evening, and evenings make sort of a conversation is better thing than a monologue. So let's make it interactive and conversational, and as opposed to a monologue. So
Wonderful. No, I love that. I love that because you know when I picked up the book, I thought, where should I start? And one of the sections in your book was love, sex, and AI. And I thought love, sex, and धोखा तो सुना है. ये love, sex, and AI क्या है? So I thought, I will first. This is going to be my first question, which I'm going to ask you, Atul. So, what is? I know you took a clue from Bollywood movies, but
no, sure, Girish. So look, to my mind, the history of technology is also a textbook in the evolution of sex. I'll repeat again that to my mind, history of technology is also a textbook in evolution of sex. All successful technologies adopts a sexual theme. Let me put things in perspective by way of some examples. Gutenberg came with his printing press 1450 or thereabouts, right? In 1520, other than Bible, what was it printing? Pornographic material. And you'll be surprised. They were coming from Vatican, but that's beside. Okay. George Bernard saw, as soon as we figured out vulcanized rubber during the wake of industrial revolution, what was the first successful product to come out of it? Not the car tires and automobile tires, but condom. George Bernard Shaw said there was the finest thing to come out of industrial revolution. Debatable, but Edison, Thomas Edison, when he figured out, invented the first, what would you call, video camera. Guess what was the first film he made on it? It was a 23-second clip called The Kiss. Okay. In 1980s, and a lot of people on this forum would kind of relate to it. When VCs, video cassettes and video cassette record VCRs came, 75% of video cassettes in place like America would be pornographic. Okay, and I can go on to when the mobile phone came. I remember, and when they started transmitting, as you know, something close to photographs and pictures, that became one of the most popular application. I don't have to tell people here what is one of the most popular application on the internet today. You know, so look, as I said, it's a hallmark of a successful technology and technology trend that it adopts to a sexual theme. And to my mind, there are few factors for that, not in any order of importance. But factor one is to overcome the resistance. Whenever there's a new technology, something, there's a resistance to change that's innate to us, right? So any new technology requires a behavioral change from our side. I can't think of a more compelling reason than sex. Factor number two, our fascination for the inanimate. you know uh, we want to humanize what we invent. That whole idea of anthropomorphism. If you remember Ovid's Pygmalion in Metamorphosis, how our hero falls in love with the statue itself and prays Aphrodite that he gets a partner like the statue that he has created. And I think uh, that whole idea of finding human traits in non-human objects, projecting our emotions and feelings on a non-human object um, is very innate to humans. Um, Factor number, or one more point that comes to my mind is that look, a lot of us, and that trend is only growing. A lot of us are more comfortable interacting with machines, with our smartphones. Don't we find, I find really talking to someone on the phone, honestly, a big emotional and
Sorry, I think we
I think he
lost.
was cursing the machine, so the machine has actually given him something back.
there's all kind of emotions and other things comes into play. Young generations are finding sex to be overrated. Their dating profiles are dipping. They are more comfortable dealing interacting with what you call machines than humans. I'm reminded, since you spoke about movie buff and things like that, and why I like quoting a lot from science fiction is because I think yesterday's science fiction becomes today's reality. Yesterday's mythology becomes today's reality. That has always been the case. We can discuss that trend and pattern and why is that is so later. Coming back in the, that is the futuristic or disconcerting theme that a movie like Her, I don't know if you have seen it, it's Wes Anderson's film where Joaquin Phoenix, he's unable to initiate or sustain any kind of relationship, and he falls in love with this disembodied voice of its operating system, voiced over by Scarlett Johansson. Okay, and look, I think we are not only, we in midst of us, there would be a new kind of sexuality. I already see that coming. I think, and to call them sex dolls and other thing would be honestly demeaning and not appreciating the full potential. It's a new kind of sexuality. They would be our companions, they would be our sexual partners, they'll be our wives and husbands. Uh, and yeah, so that is where the love, sex, and AI is coming from. And amazing kind of development is happening. This yeah, and that also raises, and why I love technology, that AI especially, that also raises some very fundamental philosophical question. What is love? What is relationship? When do I feel love? When do I feel loved? Anyway, I don't want to this to hijack our whole session, but yes.
Wow. No, I think the wonderful analogy there in terms of how the physical is metamorphosing into technology, and you have very clearly said this in your book that biology and technology are somewhere mixing or meeting together. Uh, how will that play out?
Absolutely. See, look, so far, all our technological advances, think of all kind of technological advances, right from wheel, steam engine, electricity, telephone, think about escalator, elevator, car, plier, think any technology, okay, that has expanded our extrinsic reach, our muscular reach. A plane can take me farther in a shorter period of time. So can a train and so can a car. An elevator can take me to a higher, a much greater heights and so on and so forth. Okay, so it has expanded our extrinsic reach, but with new genetic engineering, with molecular seizures like CRISPR and Cas9, okay, are with nanotechnologies, our technologies are for first time integrating with our biology, and that has many a ramification. The biggest and the most profound philosophical fallout of which is that our evolution, which so far, in 4.7 odd billion years of this rock, and let's say our evolution of all organisms on this planet has been nature led and therefore has been random and probabilistic. Correct? I think our evolution itself would be designed and deterministic. Okay, and I think that changes again, as I said, that changes the evolution, the whole course of our history, our evolution itself. And I don't find that surprising. I don't think that, and I hope so as well. I don't, I don't think that Homo sapiens is our last station. Remember, evolved from a single-celled organism to a complex organism that we are today. And why do we think that this is our last station? I think our technology is going to upgrade us into something better, finer, and different.
So
You're mute, yes. Sorry.
so we are talking about humanoids, or humans becoming robots, or are we becoming, which area are we moving towards?
Very good question, Girish. So look, it could take one of the three paths, if you will. Okay. Machines becoming more human-like. Okay, what would you call robots or humanoids, right? That's a likely path. Okay, I'll tell you my preference at the end. First, let's put the facts as they are. The second likely path is we becoming more machine, cyborgs, which we anyway are. With the smartphone in our hand, smartphone has almost becomes an appendage to us, right? It's an extension of us. Okay, very soon the smartphones would be inside us as well, by the way. Okay, they will be like in a nanobot form inside us. It'll be and anyway, I don't want to digress. So with smartphone, we are some degree cyborg already. Okay, and think about all the power of internet and the smartphone tomorrow integrated with your neural network, what it does to you. Of course, it upgrades you to a very godlike levels. The third is, what if you genetically engineered yourself into whatever? Okay, so it could take these three form. My personal reckoning is that it would be more the cyborg form. I don't, maybe it's my limitation of my imagination that I can't fathom a disembodied intelligence, which is what humanoid would be. And so I think, and I think even if you genetically engineer, a human body has few limitations. So therefore, cyborg, I think, is our future.
No. And you talk about transhumanism in your book.
Yes.
That it can be attained. The immortality can be attained.
Absolutely. That is definitely going to happen. Maybe not your and my lifetime. Maybe we just missed that trick by one generation, but going to definitely happen with somebody who is born today, for sure. Or somebody is born in 10, 20 years. Look, somebody is born today. If the average age is today, let's say in advanced economies, it's around 90, 85. Even in a country like India, just look around yourself, you would see average age has moved to around 77, 78. You know, socioeconomic factors applied to it and so on and so forth. Within 50 years, okay, every 10 years, we are going to be adding 10 more years. Okay, and I think within 10, 50 years, we are going to be living 130, 135. Okay, around that time, I think there'll be a breakthrough which is kind of going to make us immortal. And immortality can take many forms. We may really realize that we are just our consciousness. You know, we may really may understand consciousness, and that we are our consciousness, right? We are not our body, and we may just upload our consciousness on the cloud, like you upload all your data, you know, all your mail, email, photos, all your connection, everything is on the cloud, right? It's part of your consciousness, your memory, and who you are too. And tomorrow we will be able to. It's much like if you lose your smartphone today. Have you lost anything? No. You can buy a new phone and download all your data, and you are back where you were. I think similar thing is going to probably happen to us. You know, that we'll upload our consciousness on the cloud, if you will. Okay, will be genetic engineering and other biotech would have reached a level of sophistication where if we wanted to be in a body, we could easily replicate our bodies and just download our consciousness, or we could invent any kind of body that we wanted this consciousness to be in.
So we'll be a planet full of supermans or women's.
No, I don't think by that time we are not going to be bound to this planet alone. I think that if you see that drive has already started, we are surely going to be interplanetary species. And that is why I wonder, why would I like a human body? Maybe it's the limitation of my imagination today. Maybe I just want to wander around the vastness of space as a consciousness. Why do I want the burden of this body?
Wow. So are we looking at a future where, while we as human beings might be modified, we will also create modified,
You are already being modified.
right?
You're already being modified, and the modification already we don't see that. Okay, you're already being modified. You're again, we'll spend so much time on it that I don't want to digress, Girish, but just wanted to emphasize this, that we are already being modified.
And
You
what do
know,
you
our
think?
smartphone usage, our social media usage, our technology usage and dependence is modifying our cognitive functions.
Sure.
Okay, in at a more profound levels than a lot of us would appreciate. Sorry, go on.
No, I think it's a very pertinent
So it
point
is
you
not
made.
a radical, far out thought.
Yeah.
That's already happening to us. That's been happening to us for some time, at least for last 10, 15 years. That is why, anyway, I'll let you ask the question. I'm very, uh, I'm very conscious that I don't want to get carried away and hijack this discussion in only one direction. So
No, I love those thoughts. Please keep coming them. My only reason to ask those questions is so that we can go that deeper. What you're trying to. While most of the people have been reading about technology change, and we've been seeing how this happens in movies, but somewhere, as I've read in most of the places, that the future is already happening right now.
the future is here. It's just not
Yeah,
evenly distributed.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
I
in
always wonder what were Gutenberg's neighbors thinking when he was inventing a printing press that would change the course of history. What were James Watt's neighbor thinking? When he was seeing the world changing through those steams blowing out of his tea kettle. What were the neighbors of Wright brothers thinking? Were they aware of their neighbors soaring ambition and how it's going to make the world a more connected place. Okay, and I think the nature of technology is such that first thing change very incrementally, and suddenly it's everywhere, it's ubiquitous. Just think about smartphone. You and I have been in our generation which has seen the world before smartphone as well. Sometimes I really clutch my head, close my eye, and I want to feel how did I react to a situation when smartphone was not there. How did I really think and feel and behave and smartphone? It's difficult, and that changes happen within 10 years. I really can't go through my own city that I live in without Google Map.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So please know that it becomes part of you uh, quicker than you can realize. That is the amazing power of technology. Yeah, amazing transformative power of technology. Yeah.
So one part, Atul, we spoke about is what is it doing to us physiologically and probably mentally. What are the other changes which technology is bringing right now, which is
So
trans?
look, great question, Girish. I'll put things in perspective a bit. Uh, Technology is the biggest driver of change always. I keep mentioning this that we are not the strongest animal in the food chain.
Right.
Are we? No. Just think, just close your eyes and go back in your head. How many years, whatever number of years, not more. 20,000 years, which is nothing, right? 30,000 years. You're in jungle like any other animal. In a scale of 5 on food chain, we are 2.21, somewhere between anchovies and pigs. Yet we lord the universe basis of what? Basis of few uniquely distinctive human traits and qualities. The first and foremost among them is the facility that we have with our technology. That is what brought the apes from the trees and made us hunter-gatherer, right?
True.
Because we figured fire and because the dexterity of our opposable thumbs, we could make tools from tools and we became hunter-gatherers. It is because of wheel and other technologies of domestication of animals that hunter-gatherer became farmer, and totally it changed the totally way of life or not. And for large part of our civilization, we have had that life till 300, 400 years back, when steam engine changes the, again, gives our whole civilization, our idea of who we are, a different turn. What else has given that turn? Think, look around you. I'll pause for 30 seconds. Right from what you are wearing to everything around you. Everything was nothing, none of this was there 300, 400 years back. All have that brought by that one small change that was brought by we harnessing steam, the power of steam, and that triggered industrial revolution, and it changed all the construct of, if you look around. So what I wanted to say was technology has been the driver of all those epochal change. We clearly have moved into a post-industrial era. Personally, I think, and this time too, this change is being brought to us by our technologies, much like in the past. This time, it has been brought to us by the technologies of artificial intelligence, of nanotechnology, of quantum computing, of biotech and genetic engineering. And as we were just discussing, is going to make us a totally new kind of species, what we said, transhumanism and so on. But in wake of this, all our social constructs need to be reimagined. Our idea of freedom, of democracy, a small Facebook can change the how democracy feels in a place like America. So our idea of freedom, of democracy, of sex, love, money, job, the identity that we associate with it, even our idea of God and religion, I think, while I'm fascinated, I'm so excited. I really think this is the best, the most romantic age ever. And I really feel that I'm fortunate to be alive and living that age. But I have few concerns that there is I already see that change. I think all our existing constructs, even a job, even the idea of going to office, Is 9 to 5 is the is the industrial revolution construct, right?
True.
It's not law of nature. That's not what you did for rest of rest of your rest of your time.
Right. Agree.
Correct. And today it just feels like as if it was law of nature.
Nice.
So I think everything, all our societal construct, even the idea of morality and ethics. With this, we have just decriminalized gay relationships, right? And here we are talking about a totally new kind of sexuality. Are we ready? We are talking about the autonomous, self-driving cars, which requires a totally new law and rules of the road. Okay, we are talking about genetic engineering. We still have a very ambivalent relationship and confused and which is kind of stuck in our own biases and misunderstanding about genetically modified crops. And this is not radical, this is not futuristic talk.
Exactly.
Guys, I write a post also a lot about it. I can tell you in US, you could actually clone your pet or something for $30,000 to $45,000. You can Google around. There's a famous case of Barbara Streisand, the famous actress and singer, who, she couldn't bear the loss of her pet dog, and who was a son or a daughter to her, and she basically cloned her pet dog for some $40,000. So I'm saying this is not far out. So we need to figure out and remember about technology. That is why my book is called "Where Will Man Take Us," as opposed to where will technology take us. Technology has no moral of its own. Technology is moral neutral. A knife is a knife. You can cut a salad. You can cut Gordian knots.
Can take a life.
रिश्तों में गांठ लगी हो तो शायद उसको भी काट लो. But humans are different, right? You can use that technology to cut salad, Gordian knot, or cut yourself and me if you don't like me enough. True. So I think the ethics around these newfound powers that we have, godlike, not godlike, godly powers, they are divine powers. I think that needs a very intelligent dialogue. Even the new phenomena of data. Okay, there are two kind of people I see. One who just feared the change and feared, so they don't want to do anything, or people who don't respect previous, So if you are interested, I can talk about that. Sorry.
Sure. No, I think great. I will come back to the ethics part and the morality part. Those are the few points I had in my mind. But here we have two very interesting questions coming up from our members.
Please.
So it will be nice to take them up right now. So we have our first question coming from Khyati. Khyati is our CBL member, and she is joining from New York. So we have multiple locations.
Is this Khyati Behel? I know. No.
Sorry?
Is this Khyati Behel?
No, Khyati
okay.
Gudra.
Oh, all right. Hi, Khyati. Good morning.
And the question she has is our consciousness changing because of the technology? Wonderful question, I think.
Look, Khyati, first is, great question, by the way, and one of my, a topic which has been occupying my head in a craziest sort of way for few years now. And so, few things. Number one, we still don't know what is consciousness, right? We haven't realized what is that elephant. Everybody knows some part of elephant, but we don't know the whole elephant. What excites me about AI is that in our quest to bring our machine to human-like, to engineer a machine into human, to give them human-like humanness, or bring them closer to and make them sapient and sentient like humans. We are first time asking man-old, pertinent questions that have always been asked. Who am I? What is it to be conscious? What is self-awareness? How does this 3-pound brain transforms into an incredibly beautiful mind? So far, we have looked at these pertinent questions only and only through the filters and prism of religion and or philosophy. I can repeat, so far we have looked at these pertinent questions. I think this is the only, by the way, question.
Wow.
What is the nature of our consciousness is the only question. Personally, rest is to me entertainment. I think first time we are applying scientific, algorithmic, quantitative lens to these questions. And what excites me, that in your and my lifetime we may find answers to what Kesa Kambli and Sankaracharya's and Plato's and Aristotle of the world have searched for.
Wow.
So, is it changing our consciousness? First, we have to define what is consciousness. There is no theory of consciousness. In religion, philosophy, you'll hear about duality, you'll hear about non duality, you'll hear about idealism, mind over matter. Okay, much like in AI, also, there are schools of different school of thought, which is there's a computational theory of mind that actually even emotions are actually electrochemical signals, and they're basically math, they're data and math, and there's a computational theory of mind and there's a non-computational theory of mind. But I think, as I said, in our quest to bring AI to near humanness, I think we'll figure out answers to what is consciousness, who am I, what is it to be self-aware.
Now that you raised this question, Atul, I would like to kind of share that we at CBL run a program with Rupa Pai. She's an author for a children's book on
Yes,
and
she's from Bangalore too, right?
yes,
Yeah.
and this is one question which I hope Khyati will remember. We actually explored during those sessions as well. So if anybody wants to kind of have a look at, the program is actually starting in January again for the next batch. So you can connect and we can talk about it as well. Second question is coming from Vishnu Malapati.
Hey,
Uh,
Vishnu.
Vishnu says, "Hey Atul, Vishnu from Netherlands, big fan of your book. As technologies are advancing at a faster pace and the bureaucracy of the world is slow to regulate or even to look into it, do you think it will be too late when some kind of a big change happens? For instance, AI drones and society unrest due to religious political beliefs. Recent incident in France. He is quoting about that. I think something which
Okay,
you
no, Vishnu, great question.
yeah.
And something that's the only concern. I think I was alluding to it a while ago. That's my only concern. Yeah, I think change is not going to happen, is happening under our feet. I keep putting things in perspective, that this rock of ours, this planet of ours, of which we are a part, okay, is hurtling around the space at 1,600 kilometers per hour. We don't feel it, right? Because we are part of the change. Analogous to, we don't sometimes don't feel the change which are happening. Why it concerns me, not the change. I think the change is for good. Why it concerns me, there are only two change agents in our lives. One is education, okay, and pedagogy. The other is politics, with its ability to make policy making. Okay, that is and I think temperamentally they are laggards. When push comes to shove, they side on, they take the sides of the Luddites, so to say. Okay. To me, the defining problem of next 10, 15 years would be that disconnect. And you're already seeing that being played out. If you have seen a very confused world where democracy, where our this age of irony is, right, when everything is super HD, real time, and you thought, lie and fake is dead. So in time of super HD, everything recorded, even your neurotransmitters functions, even your brain's EEG functions, everything. We have a whole phenomena of fake news, of post-truth, alternate truth, and so on. How democracies are being, the whole construct of democracies are being shaken up by social media apps and so on. So and data is another thing. It's a new phenomena. It's not only the new oil or the new gold, it's the new identity of me. It's me. For data knows more about me than I know about myself. So I think, going back to you, so those are concerns, and that is why, won't go much into it today. I have started a platform. Unfortunately, the time that was picking up a bit of momentum, uh, COVID struck us, called Tomorrow's Dialogue, and I want to basically talk about some of these some of these issues, because they would require very intelligent discourse, and they're not the kind of, and that for that you need critical mass of people who understand the kind of things that we are talking about. And that is why my sole motivation in in honestly my willingness to be a part of platform like this, because I think it's uh, we need to talk about it. We need to create a foundation of knowledge from where we can not only see our future but shape our future. Remember, our future is where we will take.
True. Very true. And we have another question coming up from Vinaya Bansal, who's again one of our CBL member and a behavioral expert. He says, as we go ahead in time, are we becoming more free in terms of thinking, or are we becoming more manipulative by guys who control technology? In fact, this was a similar question I had in terms of.
Yeah. So two parts. First, I want to just add one more thing to Vishnu's question. And look, Vishnu, all change, even the Reformation and Renaissance, which brought Europe and therefore the world out of the dark ages, didn't come without shedding blood. French Revolution was because of that awakening, right? Okay, so change is necessary. Change is what takes us forward, but change is most painful. Change is disruptive. So just keep that in mind. That's why what's happening around us sometimes is shrill and bitter, and but please know that's the nature of change. Manthan hai. It has to go through this birthing pangs. Coming to the next question, can you repeat that again, please?
Yeah,
Sorry,
Vinaya,
my mind was still there.
no worries. Vinaya asks, as we go ahead in time, are we becoming more free in terms of thinking, or we becoming more manipulative by guys who control technology?
I know where you're coming from. Okay, so uh, uh, is social media, the WhatsApp University, uh, uh, kind of manipulating our thinking, our feeling? Sure. Okay, but I think you are, again, I'll ask a philosophical question. There is no general theory on what is intelligence. Okay, but in a most commonplace uh, meaning of the word intelligence, I think you are far more intelligent than anybody else who has stepped on this planet. You today in your hand have intelligence of of, of everybody's knowledge in your hand, and as I said, very soon it would be integrated to your body within the next 5 years. So of course you're far more. You are like you're omniscient. You're omnipotent, omniscient. You know everything. What do you don't know? You know everything that anybody else has known in this world. All the intelligence is distilled into you right now as we speak. Yeah. Is there a bit of noise? Is there a bit of uh, on some of the social media? I think these are temporary phenomena. I always say that we should have been, all this should have been, people say, what do you see in future? And I have an opinion. But I keep saying, if I go down to past 5-10 years, before giving this smartphone and internet and unlimited data and download and this power of Facebooks and Twitter and so on, I would educate people.
Oh,
Okay, and look, fortunately, unfortunately, we are the first generation, right? Okay, so we'll make our mistakes, but look, our whole Darwinian instinct of survival and things moving forward, as it were, we will learn from our mistake and find a balance. Is not only my optimism, but is my rational belief as well.
absolutely. And future is still how we are going to build it on
Yeah,
a
yeah, and these are
tech.
the things we need to put, and things are coming now. People are talking about in US, cradle of capitalism, that let's break Facebook, Insta, another thing. I'm not saying it should be done or not. Okay, and my views on that, but not today. We won't talk about. But would you imagine? Yeah. So yeah.
Atul, we have one more question coming from Arvind Singh, and I had a very similar question. So I'll probably try
Yes,
and
Arvind.
merge both these questions. Um, so what happens to different parts of life? Like Arvind asks, what happens to say religion? I ask, what happens to not just religion, but say to jobs, to the way of our life as we see it today.
So first, I'll talk about God and religion.
Okay.
So look, just to put things in perspective, gods are not immortal. I'll pause and repeat. Gods are not immortal, friends. History is littered with dead gods. Hunter gatherers were worshipping one kind of god. Technology made us farmers, right? And changed our way of life, an agrarian life, a totally new kind of civilization started. They needed a pantheon of gods. I don't know if Greece would allow me. That is why there were polytheistic religion at that time. Okay, but one again, and that they did a pantheon of God. बहुत सारे बाप please करने थे. Yeah. So then, in wake of industrial revolution, almost you have a godless god religion created, right? In communism and socialism. So history is littered with dead gods. Every era defines what new god they need. God, in some ways, I don't want to offend guys. Okay, I'm in my own way a spiritual and God-loving person. I may not respect religion, idea of religion. Okay, but I definitely understand the where the idea of God comes from. But God, in some ways, are knowledge gaps. When we didn't understand lightning, we thought it was God. अभी तो नहीं बोलते ना God इसको. So as our knowledge becomes better, okay, we would we will have to, but still there will be some gap you would imagine. But for that, we'll need to invent new kind of gods and new kind of religion.
And how does so again the question comes is
And maybe you will not ask from this guy, God, long life, because you'll have. Maybe you'll not ask even Amratva, because that will have. Maybe you won't ask even health, because that will have. Maybe the idea of prosperity would not exist. I'm coming to the job thing. Okay. It's not a law of nature. Is there any other organism in the planet who has to work and for whom money, work uh, is who they are? What if there was abundance brought to you by technology? And you worked because, as an expression, you sang because you felt like singing, but you didn't sing because you have to make money. So I'm sorry. Yeah. So that's about my. I think God religion is going to be reimagined, and but we'll have a new God. We'll have a new religion which celebrates that God.
true. So there's another contrarian view, Atul, which is coming to the fore. One set of belief is that we are now either going back into the simplest way of living, probably in future, and there's a new beginning coming in. So is this the story which we are hearing right now is being sold by the technologist?
I don't think so. Look, I am ready for contrarian view. In fact, I want contrarian view.
Yeah.
Okay. Vade vade jayate tattva bodha. From from views and contrarian views, there is a hope that we may find the truth. Okay. So, but I would not, I my only request is don't call it a technologist view. Don't don't give me a single identity. That would be racist thing to do. Sorry, in a very intellectual way.
No,
Don't
sure.
give me a single identity. I'm humanist first. Okay. In fact, why I love science technology is not as an application of science, but as I said, that actually to my mind, and that's what I'm trying to communicate. That's who we are if you think about it. That is what has brought us here. What else has brought us here? You are nothing without your technology. One toothache will kill you if there was no antibiotic, like it did, right? That's why the average age was not more than 32 or 27 or 28 at the Alexander time. Alexander didn't die young. Alexander died at the age of 32, and most people died at that time. It is because of your technology that you are living longer. Just think like hygienic water brought to by technology improved our lifespan by 10, 12 years. Just this soap improved our lifespan by 5, 7, 8 years. So would we move to simpler thing? I have a very simple rule. This is almost like an axiom in my head. Technology expands our potential. Technology makes life more livable. Okay, we can always, as you said, I'm a poet first than anything else. I also lament a few things. That's fine. Nostalgia is fine. Those emotions are who we are. But hey, otherwise you wouldn't have been there. I don't want to go and be a part of a medieval or dark ages. Much as I want to go back and see Cleopatra was as beautiful as they make her out to be, I honestly don't want to be living in that time.
True.
Yeah. So if this is the best the best time that humans had, and how has that happened? Because of technology. And this is not technology speaking. This is a humanist speaking. This is, in my view, truth speaking. I hear this from all my wife would be that contrarian view every single time that this topic is discussed. And I get it. I get the emotions behind it.
True.
We lament. I also lament, right? That personal touch, just because of texting. I have so much information, but rather than my mind feeling calm and feeling cluttered, someone like me who prided that I could just shut everything noise off, what I struggle through the day when I'm writing, okay, is the lack of consciousness, my self-control, and just going for the phone. So, of course, all that, but these are temporary phenomena, Mary Jan. As I said, give us some, cut some slack. Uh, this all this riches and power has been handed over to us without education, without training, and we are the early adopters. That's it.
Wow. So Atul, we have, keeping everybody's time. I know we can go on and on. I have, amazing amount of questions still, and there are a few questions from our members also still there to kind of answer. But I think in the interest of time, um, would I request you to give your closing thoughts about, the book, and where do you see the future now from your perspective?
Absolutely. So I'll say two, three things. Number one, uh, this change is not to be feared. Yeah, please. Okay. I think we've spoken about it. Number two, these powers are there. You can't dial back AI. You can't dial back genetic engineering. You can't dial back the powers of quantum computing and so on. But as I was trying to explain through example of knife, okay, how do we use it? How do we use social media that enhances our democracy, not destroys it? How do we use social media so that it makes us connect, really creates a Vasudev Kutumbakam, the world is a family, rather than make us Koop Manduks, living in our Koop Mandukams, frog in a well. That's what is happening. That's the irony of our times. There's more loneliness, lack of intimacy today than maybe there was at any other time. While we're always uber connected, switched on with every and everyone in the world, anyone we wanted. So I think there has to be a lot of these kind of dialogues. Okay, and I think that is when it'll bubble up into our understanding of how to use these powers. That will bubble up into a new kind of legislation, new kind of policies, okay, and bring clarity. Okay. And so your participation in this process is very important. Last point, I'll again repeat, and I don't know how to stress upon it, but I'm not making it up. I truly pinch myself every morning, and I'm saying, "What couldn't have? Couldn't have imagined a better time." At so some point, I used to think, "What if I was born in during India's independence? Would have been fun fighting along with the greats, or during French Revolution along Rousseau and Jacobins." I don't lament anymore because I think this is the most romantic age, the most transformative era. I mean, we live in a rational world. Every day, new discoveries. I'm again request. I post a lot on some of these new inventions and new discoveries and new understanding of who we are a lot on my social channels. Every day there's a new realization. Every day there's a new discovery. Every day, literally, there's a new invention, discovery, and realization. To me, it looks like I'm living in some magic realism, a world of Marquis or Hollande. What more could you ask for?
Wonderful. Spoken like a true humanist with a technology view. And if you have not picked up the book, my suggestion and advice will be to pick up this amazing book, and we can go on and on talking about so many aspects of how technology has impacted us, is currently impacting us, and will continue to impact us in time to come. And as you said, humanist point of view for the better. So with that thought, I hand it over back to Mohit for the closing comments. So thank you so much, Atul. Very generous
Thank
of
you,
you.
Girish. Thank you for doing it. It was wonderful. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. So I will have to finish it with the story of how I picked your book, Atul. 2 years back, almost 2 years back, someone actually approached me saying, Mohit, do you understand AI? And I asked, what's AI? So he said, artificial intelligence. And I had to admit, but why do you need artificial intelligence? You have natural intelligence. But he said, no, we're making a product on it. And that was a time when I was in Bombay. I was searching for some books, and somehow your book popped up in Amazon category. I was in Bombay. I ordered, and by the time I reached Delhi in the flight, I could finish this book. And the kind of notes that I made on the book, I shared it with Girish, and I also shared with other people to whom I recommended last year as well as this year. And a lot of people have joined in who have read your book, possibly after some of the recommendations we were able to make. And this book, I think, is a great combination in terms of how the history gives us so many lessons, from the invention of phosphorus and how it changed the world, right? So Henry Brand did it. Then it also says about something very interesting, how Gutenberg, which we call nowadays as the VUCA world. In fact, if he wouldn't have been there, we would have never read your book. Possibly we would have to figure out some oral way of the Shruti way of, as we have been thinking about with us. But our
True.
knowledge would have been definitely very focused, only because the new VUCA has come because of such inventions. And I think as human beings, where will man take us? Slightly sexist, but where will man take
I
us
look,
is women also decide. So with that thought, I think let the world live in the way that the woman really wanted. I think we will have to go back to
No, I'm all
matriarchal
for woman power.
societies rather. No, I think we should just admit the days would have been much better if they would have taken the charge, and that's what the new corporate laws also
That I
says.
couldn't agree with.
Thank
I
you.
couldn't agree with that idea more.
Thank you, Atul. As Girish recommended, this is a book to pick this new year so that you know what's going to happen in 2021 and how you should change your lifestyle. There could be no better person than Girish actually doing it. And that's what Atul and I, when we discussed, we were thinking of someone the same as Atul could be, a technology driven guy, but a human more, a person who's a seeker. So much so that Girish is our batchmate for the Sanskrit course that we are about to start. And I think we will have to go back rather than going forward, because what we had in our ancient times is definitely a class, and we should cherish it, live with the heritage. And Atul, we look forward to have you offline as soon as possible. The COVID is over, and we would love to have you in Bangalore or Delhi and wherever possible, and look forward to meet you soon.
Inshallah, look forward to it.
My special
Yeah,
Yes, and my
absolutely.
special thanks to everyone who could join in for all your questions, the questions that we can take, questions we cannot take. But certainly, I think for all the unanswered questions, it's important to pick up this yellow book, because that has everything that you need in the yellow pages in life, right? Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for tuning in. The video is live on the YouTube. You can share it with other friends in case you want to refer it again. You can subscribe there as well. And look forward to have you for all our sessions. And by the way, Atul, we are hosting a poet today after tomorrow evening.
Ah,
That's
do
Mr.
share the
Arun.
link
He's the
and
KPM.
yeah.
Yeah,
Who are
he's the
you?
KPMG
Who are you
CEO. And
hosting?
Arun Kumar, KPMG CEO and
I
chairman.
know, I
We
know. Yeah,
work
yeah,
with the
yeah,
open
yeah, yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah. I know. I will join. I'll just,
Yeah, and it's a
I'll,
brilliant book, Mantram Beach.
I'm,
Yeah, you
I'm
will
sure.
relate to it. Thank you, Girish. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.